It is now, when we are called as witnesses of the world, to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now, when we are called to act on our values, not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we are called to continue our fight for justice, to organize, to speak up. It is now. Let us gather. Let us give each other courage. And at this time, we have an opportunity to light our candles of community. You can light a candle for a joy or a concern, or simply to bring more light into our space.
May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never ride about these windows, make a roar, and rain go on. My faith is strong, the rafters withstand the battering of the storm. This heart, through all the wind will chill, will keep you warm. He shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner moves into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though its sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep it out and hold love in.
Let us stand together in body or spirit for the chalice lighting and for our spoken affirmation. In this free church, we come together without creed, focusing instead on the core values of justice, equity, and compassion, of mutual acceptance of our diverse ways of being, as we seek to connect ourselves more fully with the unfolding truths of life and of our world. We come together in shared conviction that all people deserve a voice in matters that concern them, and that it is up to each of us to protect the rights of all, particularly those who, for whatever reason, have long been held in silence. We come together in the stubborn belief that community is possible and that peace is more than a dream. We commit together to affirm in our actions as well as our words the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. We come together in awareness of our interdependence with all humanity, with the wider web of existence, for that too is part of what is meant by we. In this free church, we come together without creed, believing that the way we live in the world bears testament to the value of our beliefs. We light this chalice as a beacon of hope for who have gathered here this day, for all who have ever walked through our doors, for those who may yet find this spiritual home, and for those whose paths will never come our way. For all this and for all those things we dare to hope and dream, we kindle our chalice flame this day. Let us join together in the spoken affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to help one another. Please be seated. Our opening thought comes from Joseph Campbell from The Power of the Myth. Every religion is true one way or another. It is true when understood metaphorically, but when it gets stuck in its own metaphors, interpreting them as facts, then you are in trouble.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not the circle, make it wider still, till it includes, embraces all the living. Come wander at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people keep no score of wrong and guilt, but will that human bonds remain unbroken. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
Our next reading comes from Saul Alinsky from his work Rules for Radicals. Curiosity and irreverence go together. Curiosity cannot exist without the other. Curiosity asks, is this true? Just because this has always been the way this is, it's not necessarily the best or the right way of life, the best or right religion, political or economic value, or morality. To the questioner, nothing is sacred. They detest dogma, defy any finite definition of morality, rebel against any repression of a free, open search of ideas, no matter where they may lead. Let us now prepare ourselves to be in an attitude of meditation. Spirit of life, love which holds us, we gather in reverence and thanks. We are grateful for the gift of another breath and for each moment of connection, beauty, and truth. Cry with us in our pain for our world. Remind us that we are loved just as we are. Remind us that we are connected with all that is. Remind us that we do not journey alone. Give us what we need for today. Call us back to our promises, commitments, and values. Help us love ourselves and each other, and to show that love in our actions. Make us instruments of justice, equity, and compassion. Free us from all that is evil. We declare that life and love are stronger than tyranny and fear, that a world of beauty and love is coming. And we must shape it together. May it be so. Our next reading is from David Wolfe and his work, Epistemology, the Justification of Belief. We all know dogmatists who are more concerned about holding their opinions than about investigating their truth. If they are mistaken, they will never discover it. They have condemned themselves to perpetual error. Human beings, including myself, sometimes use their beliefs for wish fulfillment. Too often we believe what we want to be true. Where religions have gone wrong and so often turned deadly is in their focus on what to believe and whom to exclude, rather than expressing love and working for justice for all. Although there are numerous examples of this phenomenon across a variety of religions throughout the world, for purposes of my reflections, I will focus on my own religious tradition of Christianity. And from my experience in Christian ecumenical work and also in interfaith work, I have come to the conclusion that we will be hopelessly divided and perpetually at odds with one another if our primary goal is for all of us to believe in the same way. But I do see hope for a commitment to shared values and actions that might allow us to live together in peace and love while experiencing freedom of belief. The institutional church in the history of Christianity, in collaboration with empire, has turned Jesus into an object of worship in its effort to control the world, rather than focusing on Jesus as a person to follow, to bring love and justice more fully to life in the world. In other words, Jesus as an object of worship has become an idol that hinders many Christians from actually following the way of Jesus. To think that God would not fully accept a person unless they believe the empire-enforced Nicene Creed is a projection of religious and political institutional insecurity onto God. It lowers God to the meanest and most small-minded aspects of humanity rather than respecting the mystery and grace of the divine. The empire, the Roman Empire at first and then others following, used enforced belief to control the masses in opposition to Jesus' call for action to liberate the oppressed. The Roman Empire weaponized Christianity through the codification and enforcement of beliefs for the maintenance and the expansion of its power. And other expressions of empire continue to do so to this day. It is likely not an accident that persons who seem to be longing most for a full-blown return of some form of imperial Christianity are also those who are most strongly clinging to their own personal weapons. Imperial Christianity has conditioned them to believe that it is appropriate to use violent force to maintain and expand their misguided understanding of Christian power. It is within this context that those of us who call ourselves Christian, like myself, are ironically often the least like what Jesus is portrayed to be in the Gospels, because we are more focused on what the institutional church tells us to believe than we are on what Jesus calls us to do and be in the world. The codification and subsequent enforcement of beliefs and doctrines about the nature and being of the mystery that we commonly refer to as God have more often than not been used to define who is in or out of the community, rather than as a way to create beloved community for all persons. If the Sermon on the Mount is an accurate expression of Jesus' vision for the world, Jesus would weep deeply at the sight of a church that claims to follow Jesus while using beliefs about him in order to exclude, control, and even violently and murderously conquer others rather than following the way of love, service, justice, and peacemaking. The world needs the shared values and actions of love, peace, and justice of the Sermon on the Mount, much more than the world needs to conform to the beliefs and the doctrines of the Nicene Creed. The good news is that we are all created for beloved community, not adherence to Christian dogma. When religions require conformity of belief, they become more about controlling lives for the sake of religious institutions and their political patrons than about transforming lives for the sake of beloved community. The shared values of mutual respect, loving kindness, freedom, and justice for all are much more important for the creation of beloved community than the uniformity of religious belief. The obsession with right religious belief has led to persecution, inquisitions, executions, crusades, religious wars, colonialism, and even genocide. We do not need to be right about our religious beliefs, but we do need to be right about how we love one another. We do need to be right about how we do justice with one another. And if we really believe in religious freedom, we will stop coercing others to share our religious beliefs. I am a United Methodist minister who's very closely connected to Unitarian Universalism through family and through my own spiritual journey. And I am agnostic about beliefs in the nature and being of God. And I find our human attempts to define God to be much too small to adequately symbolize the mystery of the cosmos. But I am a firm believer in the way and values of Jesus that call us to love our neighbors, love our enemies, be peacemakers, bring good news to those in poverty, liberate the oppressed, bring healing to the sick, provide food and drink for the hungry and the thirsty, be present with those in prison, welcome the refugee and the stranger, protect the most vulnerable, turn over the tables of corruption, and resist the power of empire, and also bring justice to all creation. The well-being, survival, and flourishing of humanity and of other species of life on earth do not depend on all of us having the same religious beliefs. But they do require at least some level of shared commitment to doing no harm, to doing positive good in the world, expressing compassion, and working for justice for all. Together, may we find the wisdom and the courage to make it so, no matter how we orient ourselves to religion or to religious beliefs. At this time, we have our time of giving, and you may give here at the table, and there are opportunities to give online as well.
age, we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we share with friends, they will linger on and on, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow. We have the gift to believe that this within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found the joy being together. And in our search for peace, we will finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
Let us stand together in body or spirit for our parting thought and the extinguishing of the chalice. Our parting thought comes from Bart Ehrman, from his work, God's Problem, How the Bible Fails to Answer Our Most Important Question, Why We Suffer. He writes, "There are few things more dangerous than inbred religious certainty." Let us join together in extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.